ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to also invite to join us on this side. And let me request our usher to also fill the other side because, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have in our midst somebody, a traditional institution. We cannot talk about food and agriculture without talking about our communities and community development. We have right here in our midst the royal presence of His Royal Highness, Elder Architect N.O. Obuzo. I understand he is the paramount ruler of Odioku Kingdom. Please pardon me if I do not get it all right. But ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we invite our father to the high table. His Royal Highness is the Elder Architect N.O. Obuzo. Welcome, sir. Please usher me this way. No, pass the front. Let our Royal Highness not pass back here to enter. Thank you very much, and you're welcome, sir. Let me also recognize and invite to the high table another of our plenary speakers, Dr. Jude C. Obi is a lecturer in the University of Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. From the profile I have here, he's also the president of the Association of Organic Agriculture Practitioners of Nigeria. This is a very important organization that is concerned with the subject about which we are here today. So please put your hands together as we receive Dr. Jude C. Obi, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome, sir. Most respectful. Please keep clapping until he gets to the table. Let me. I remember the video name. I don't remember the first. And Martin Chigozie Igwe is here. You're welcome, sir. Please put your hands together for him. And he is here with his wife. Incidentally, these women ministries keeping Madame away from Elder. So let me recognize very quickly the presence of our women leaders, of which Dr. Igwe's wife is one, Sister Igwe is here. Sister Joy Igwe, you're welcome, ma'am. I hope I will not miss lunch today. You're welcome, ma'am. And then the director herself, Sister Joy Igwe, is the deputy director of the Women's Ministries. And right there with her is the director, Sister Ifoma Amadi is here. You are welcome, ma'am. Sister Ifoma Amadi is a senior police officer, and so we thank God for her presence here. Anybody that does anyhow with us, will see anyhow, because we're fully covered. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also recognize and respectfully invite her to the high table, the conference treasurer and chief financial officer of our conference, Shepherdess Onyechi Wafo is here. Please put your hands together for her as we invite her to join us right here at the high table. Okay, I would also quickly recognize the presence of the director of the Adventist Men's Organization here in Port Harcourt Conference, Elder Vincent Ake. You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much for gracing this occasion with your distinguished presence. Let me recognize a member of the Eastern Nigeria Union Conference Executive Committee. I also understand he is a member of the Rivers East. I don't know whether you were reappointed. Okay, of the Rivers East Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Elder and Mrs. Job Orang. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. God bless you for being here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we proceed, we will have more recognitions. But for now, let me respectfully request the Executive Secretary to, on behalf of the Conference President, Pastor Ayalebechi Nunukwe, kindly come to the microphone. I'll hand the microphone so he can give the opening prayer for this occasion. So.
I request you all rise on our feet as we commit this program to the hands of the Almighty God, our Creator, our Maker, and our God. Let's bow our heads and our eyes closed. Heavenly Father, the Ancient of Days, we bless your holy name. This new day you have made and given unto us in this part of the world. Today being the 27th day of October 2023. A day you made, a day you are marked for the Eastern Nigerian Union Conference in the course of the celebration of 100 years of your mission work in the eastern part of Nigeria. That we gather here at Epitome Banigo Hall in the University of Port Harcourt to have a program to talk about the problem, challenges of our economy and their country, Nigeria, in the area of agriculture, food security. We thank you for the planning committee. We thank you for many, all the way from Abuja, particularly the Honorable Minister for Agriculture, who is ably represented by our dear brother, our father, our Deputy Director for Nutrition and Food Security, Mr. N.A. Kilishi. Thank you for safe arrival. Also hand over to you, the keynote speaker, the plenary speakers that made their way from Babcock, from Ebonyi State, from Akwa Ibom State down to Port Harcourt. We thank you for traveling messages. We also want to remember the entire University of Port Harcourt community. The Vice Chancellor has indicated to be here a moment from now, and the entire university community. Father, we pray in advance by faith that your grace and peace shall be down here safely. We thank you for the entire population, River State, many persons making their way to this auditorium to be part of this national discussion. Father, we hand over the entire program unto your care and keeping. That today, in the course of the presentation, may you empower and bless all the speakers. That their discussion here today will chart a new course for Nigeria to move to ameliorate the food insecurity, food challenges, shortages in Nigeria. That through the presentation here for today, Nigeria shall move forward. Thank you at the end of this program, O Lord, that your name and your name alone will be lifted higher and higher, that your blessing shall be our portion. Do this and take all the glory. For in Jesus Christ's mighty name we have prayed. Amen.
Sincere apologies. Let's remain standing as we take the national anthem. gentlemen, I'd like to quickly, before I request this program is blessed with the media presence of a number of our media houses. We have here the Wazobia FM, Nigeria Info, the Nigerian Television Authority is represented here, Wish FM, Punch News, the Tide Newspapers, Herald's News, and the Nation News. These media houses are represented here. May I humbly request the representatives to kindly stand as we acknowledge them with a clap. And we have our media houses that are represented here. They're here. Thank you so much. Okay. I believe the others will show up. Okay, we have one of our women leaders and also a senior member of the university community here, Dr. Ijoma Wegu. I acknowledge you, ma'am. Thank you for being here. God bless you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now request that we sit quietly as we listen, and before I do that, I'd like to acknowledge the presence in this program. You will see the only group that is uniquely dressed. Okay, that is the Port Harcourt Conference Choir, Port Harcourt Conference Chorale. The Port Harcourt Conference Chorale is ably led by a man of music and a man of science. It's interesting how he bestrides the two worlds. I don't know which one he is more committed to. Dr. Ilubisi Kingsley Honda is the director of music for Port Harcourt Conference and the director of the conference choir. Can you wave to the congregation, sir? Okay. And let's also acknowledge the Port Harcourt Conference choir. Please wave. And now I'm going to invite the choir to make the presentation that has been planned for this occasion. Thank you. hands together again for the choir. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me request most respectfully, I would request again our host here, Pastor Ekezi Echendo, to kindly present the welcome speech on behalf of the planning committee. Sir? Yes, please. Let's put our hands together for Pastor Ekezi.
Of Adventist mission in eastern Nigeria. It was in 1953 that the world headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church deployed the first missionary, Sir J.C. Clifford, from Scotland, who landed first in Ontario, Abua, proceeded to Eleni, and then settled at the old Adventist site in Omohi, Aba. From there he pioneered the mission in our region, preaching the gospel, building schools, and setting up medical facilities. This year, of course 2023, we celebrate the centenary of our legacy of love and sacrifice. But why an academic treatise of this sort to celebrate the centenary of our church? The Seventh-day Adventist Church believes that the gospel is designed to make man role and education and health are two critical factors required to achieve that. Christ's ministry was anchored on teaching and healing. The prophecy about his birth in Matthew 1:21 says, "And she will bring forth a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins." The Greek verb sozo, translated to save, also means to make whole. It is therefore in pursuit of this objective of the gospel to make man whole that the Seventh-day Adventist Church integrates education and health into her mission. This emphasis drives our investment in education, which has produced a global system of over 153 colleges, universities, and post-secondary training schools, of which Babcock University, Elisha Greenwood, Ogun State, and Clifford University, Oriental, Ada State are apart. This system also has more than 2,500 secondary schools and over 6,000 elementary schools. Our emphasis on health and wellness is executed through a global network of media programming, as well as through thousands of hospitals, mobile health centers, several rural communities, and medical and nursing schools. This centenary public lecture, therefore, serves two purposes. On the one hand, it affords us a unique opportunity to place at the disposal of our community the scholarly capacity that our church has developed over the years, and to seek opportunities for collaboration and synergy as we seek solutions to solve some of society's problems. On the other hand, and more pointedly, it is to deploy the tool of education and research to provide solutions to one of humanity's worst vulnerability, hunger. A lecture on ending food shortage in Nigeria seeks to set forth a biblical position for addressing the food crisis in Nigeria and the world. We hope that this engagement can help us define a policy, technological and practical framework for producing enough to feed our nation and beyond. And we believe we can engage on this from the standpoint of faith. Hence, we talk about integration of faith and learning. I trust that this engagement will deepen our knowledge on the subject matter. But much more, I pray that it will deepen our resolve to take a strategic action necessary to eradicate hunger, attain food sufficiency, promote the well-being of our people, and deepen our faith in the God who is sufficient for our every need. On behalf of Pastor Ambassador Basi E.O. Udo, PhD, President of Eastern Nigerian Union Conference. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now may I also respectfully request the representative of the Honorable Minister, Mr. N.A. Kilishi, the Deputy Director for Nutrition and Food Security at the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, to kindly come and do the Minister's remarks. Please put your hands together for the Minister.
The keynote speaker, Professor Umwam Murata, the plenary speakers, Professor C. Iliam and Dr. Jude, respected church leaders, Royal Highness, they are present, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, in person of Senator Abubakar Kari, CON, would have loved to be personally present here. But he is unavoidably absent because he's attending some other pressing official engagements, in fact, outside the country. These are the message from him. One greetings from Honorable Minister of Agriculture and the entire management and staff of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security on the 7th day Adventist Church Centenary celebration of the church and the public discussion on food summit to end food shortage in Nigeria. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is responsible for ensuring food security in crop, livestock, and fisheries, promoting the production and supply of raw materials to agro industries, providing markets for the products of the industrial sector and developing rural communities. The increasing lack of access to safe, nutritious and affordable food has been part of the greatest challenge, and the solution to this challenge is the main focus of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. It is also the topmost agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu 8-point agenda. In order to achieve this food and nutrition security agenda of Mr. President and also of the Sustainable Development Goal 2, which is to end hunger, achieve sustainable food security, improve nutrition, and promote agriculture by 2030, there is need for climate smart and innovative agriculture. Evidence has shown that existing new and agro-technologies can go a long way to address food security in Nigeria. These technologies will assist in food availability, while post-harvest and agro-process innovation can promote food accessibility. Tapping into these new existing and emerging smart agricultural technologies for food security requires investments in physical and human capital. The adoption of emerging innovation by smallholder farmers in Nigeria has been slow and low, but the present administration is making concerted efforts together with private sectors, development partners, and stakeholders to promote innovation and give a new face to agriculture in Nigeria through the adoption, promotion, and implementation of the National Agricultural Technology and Innovation Policy, NATIP 2022 to 2027. The Ministry, in consultation with stakeholders, has developed a new robust and articulated policy, which is called NATIP, which holistically addresses the issues of technology, innovation, and people to drive agricultural production and productivity. The thorough understanding and implementation of the NATIP policy answers the topic of discussion of today, and the Ministry is particularly proud and associated to be with the wisdom of the Seventh-day Adventist Church towards the title of this discussion today. The policy has 10 thematic areas and 11 corresponding areas that actually addresses the strategic education plans and how to end hunger and food shortages in Nigeria. Details of this will be discussed during the technical segment. Efforts by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in collaboration with other stakeholders have outlined interventions ranging from immediate, short-term, medium-term, and long-term that their implementation will lead to food surplus, deliver nutrition, and achieve food security. These interventions, both the immediate, the short-term, medium, and long-term, were actually unfolded by the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security in his World Ministerial Press Briefing, which he convened on October 6, 2023. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Please put your hands together again for the representative of the Honorable Minister. Thank you. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to invite Professor Justin Gabriel to kindly come and introduce to us the keynote speaker for this occasion. Please put your hands together for Professor Justin Gabriel.
Of agriculture, every represented by Enuc, Director of the Ministry of Agriculture, every other protocol to the exam. I would like to invite the keynote speaker, Professor Centenary, to stand. To unveil this prolific scholar and everybody personality who has been prayerfully chosen to speak as the keynote speaker in this profile of the keynote speaker, Professor Cyril Wamboroka. Professor Cyril Wamboroka is a professor of plant breeding and genetics from Babcock University, Nigeria. That's Nigeria's first private university. He is from Obingwa local government area, Abia State, Nigeria. He obtained his bachelor degree from the University of Port Harcourt in 1992, Master of Science degree from the University of Ibadan, and Doctor of Philosophy in Plant Breeding from the Federal University of Agriculture at Lokoja in 2010. He has served Babcock University and the community in various capacities, including as Director of the Pre-Degree and Foundation Diploma Program from 2003 to 2008. Deputy Director of Research, Innovation and International Cooperation from 2012 through 2020. Head, Department of Agriculture and Industrial Technology, 2015 through 2018. Vice President, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Administration, Adventist University of West Africa, Liberia, 2018. Dean of School of Science and Technology, Babcock University, 2019 to 2023. He was a postdoctoral fellowship at the Agricultural Research Council Institute for Soil, Climate and Water, Pretoria, South Africa, 2013 to 2015. Professor Wakoka has also served the university and the external community in various other capacities. He has served in the following capacities. He is a member, Editorial Review Board, ACTA Satica, Journal of Life Sciences, Babcock University, Relation Area, Ogun State, Nigeria, 2019 till date. He is the lead editor, Current Trend in Life Sciences Research, Babcock University, 2023. He is the editorial consultant of CLU, International Journal of Developmental Studies, 2022, and an external examiner for several postgraduate programs. Professor Wambroka has taught several undergraduate and postgraduate courses. He has also supervised several students at the BSc, MSc, and PhD levels, both at national and international clients. He has several publications to his credit in peer-reviewed and high-impact journals. He has participated in several number of research grants applications and had outstanding success. He has received several awards and recognition nationally and internationally. Professor Wambroka is a faithful Christian, a preacher, a lover of Jesus, and church leader in the Seventh-day Adventist town planning. He is married, happily married, I would say. Happily married, and their marriage is blessed with a son. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me as I present this great son of God, a prolific scholar, an erudite personality, an academic by excellence, Professor Cyril Wambroka. Please rise to the glory of God. Rise to the glory of God for making this man who he has been. Thank you, Lord. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lord. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, ably represented by the Director of State Security Administration, the President of the Eastern Nigerian Women Conference of the Centenary Adventist Church, Pastor Professor Bassey. We are also represented here by the Executive Secretary of the Port Harcourt Conference, the President of Babcock Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Pastor Dr. Anna Modechi Mwegwe, also represented here by the Executive Secretary himself, Pastor thank you very much. My fellow presenters, Professor Ibrahim. Professor Ibrahim is a senior to me. Actually, while I was here doing my graduate program, he was already doing his master's program in the same department. So seeing him today after several years, I'm so excited. Good to see you. My dear colleague, Dr.
ecclesial fathers present here, all other church leaders, members of the academia, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on all other protocols that we established to give my report. I'm so excited to be here today. For me, this is a homecoming event because I walked this soil some 33 years ago. And returning here again, I have been overwhelmed by the things I see around. So I want to thank God for the privilege that He has given to me to be here. This building was not here when I was here. Several buildings here were not here. The so-called Offerman Hall was the greatest that we felt we would have seen to completion, but we left before then. So for now, it's really compared to some other things I see here. So I want to thank God for the privilege to be here. And I also want to thank the organizing committee of the Centenary, the planning of the Centenary program, to have set up a platform such as this to discuss an issue that has a national and global implication, that is hunger and food security. It's so huge, and for the church organization to be talking about that, it tells you how important it is. I would have expected to find this place filled up. And I can also adduce the reason to what? Food insecurity. You know, it is when you have healing that you will have time to come and sit down and listen, isn't it? So I can feel the pain of people, especially when you see things happening around us. But before I take a shot on the topic that I'm supposed to discuss, I would like to look at the overarching theme, which is what? Ending what? Food shortage in Nigeria. Following what? The biblical approach, the surplus biblical approach. I'll just give my own. If that's all you could get from me today, that's good enough. So, can we end hunger? Yes. How quickly can we end hunger? It will take some time. Because the problem of hunger did not start yesterday. It is an age-long monster that has been nurtured over 40 years in Nigeria. And of course, you will know if you have nurtured a child who has grown to 40 years, it will take quite a while to actually do what? It took some time. So it's going to take some time to deal with and end it. And that's what we are going to look at. So some of the reasons why we've had that is some of our inaction, some actions that we've taken, some of the wrong choices we made over time. And that has led us to where we are. And in dealing with it, we also have to do what? Take some retrospective look in what we've done wrong and make the right choices. But following the biblical approach, as was mentioned in the book of Genesis chapter 14, you'll agree with me that Joseph, who is the key actor there, did something. First of all, there are 4 things we need to do in order to handle that. The first is what? We must be visionary. We must have a vision of where we are going. We must know we have a problem and be visionary. Take a visionary approach. You know, Pharaoh was given a vision of what was going to happen and how to do it. Secondly, we must have what? We must have a committed political will. Pharaoh was completely committed to dealing with that problem. Thirdly, we must have a committed management. The problem we have today in agriculture is what? Management. You may have money, you may have land, you may have, you may have all other resources, but if you have a wrong and a bad manager, it will crumble. So we must have that, and you can find that in Joseph. And finally, you need time. Time, patience. It took Egypt 7 years of planning, and they managed it. through 7 years of work of nothingness. So these are the 4 key things you will find in the surplus approach. And that will bring me to the topic which I am to address at this point. And that is, from doom to boom, massive investment in agriculture to avert food shortage in Nigeria. We talk about food shortage, we talk about hunger, we are talking about food security. And that is a very strong indices that the world uses to determine or measure any country's what? Economics and viability. And that's what I'll be looking at. Of course, you will agree with me that this is a relevant topic in this very time and age that we live in. Because the Bible says that a country without what? The Bible says that anyone who is unable to cater for the members of his own household is worse than an infidel. I don't think you've seen that in the book of 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. And by implication, I could say that any country that did not cater for the well-being of her citizens is a failed country. That's where we are gradually going into. We'll be looking at how it concerns us, the roles that you and I have played to get to where we are. Mr. Chairman, I will be presenting my talk, from a 5-pronged approach. The first I'll be looking at is the state of agriculture and the Nigerian economy in retrospect. I will also look at agriculture, food production, and Nigerian economy at present, in time of permit. But the crux of our issue tonight, this afternoon or morning, is to look at the food security status of Nigeria, so that we know where we are. Then I will talk about the challenges confronting food insecurity through intentional investment in agriculture. And I'll try to provide some solutions. I'll try to make some recommendations in that regard. And finally, I will be concluding. Agriculture is the foundation of Nigeria's economy, providing livelihood for most Nigerians and generating billions of job opportunities. According to Lukman 2022, Nigeria relies on crude oil, agricultural products, and its exports to generate most of its national revenue. And our agricultural sectors include crop production, livestock production. We also have forestry and fishing. Nigeria has a total agricultural area of 70.80 million hectares. 34 million hectares of this are arable land. 6.5 million are used for permanent crops, and 33 hectares are used as meadows and pastures. And most of the staple crops that we cultivate include cassava, maize, guinea corn, and yam. With 70% of the household engaging in crop farming, 7.3% in the south of the household practice fishing, while 69.3% of the household in the northwest practice raises livestock. Note what I said there. 70% of the household are in practice farming. That's quite huge, you know. So if we have up to 70% who are engaged in agriculture, what is the problem? Why don't we have sufficient food? Something is wrong somewhere, and it calls for our attention. At the time Nigeria attained nationhood 63 years ago, 70% of the nation's gross domestic product was mostly from the agricultural food sector, and the exports that we had from crops like cocoa, peanuts, cassava, palm oil, cotton, and several others. This was the agricultural boom period for this nation. The then realities of the groundnut pyramids of the north which not only brought wealth to the nation but also attracted tourists. The huge coca-cola nuts, palm oil and rubber products from the south, the hides and skins and the grain products from the north contributed richly to the agricultural output and sustained our economy. Agriculture was the mainstay of our economy. The government at that time also formulated several policies. We had policies like the Agricultural Development Project in 1972, the National Accelerated Food Production Project in 1974, and the popularly known Operation Feed the Nation in 1976. These policies were carefully formulated and strictly implemented, and that helped to accelerate the production of food in Nigeria. Of course, Nigeria was just coming out from what? The Civil War. So there was hunger all over, but the government initiated this project, providing what? Providing input, subsidies, things like that, to enhance the production of food, and it actually met needs. Several private initiatives like the Dantata Group also invested heavily into agriculture. Nigeria cocoa and oil palm products were what? High, making Nigeria the largest producer of these crops and the largest exporter. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the dollar to naira rate then was below what? What naira? A dollar in 1972 was what? 65 kobo. In 1973 was 65 kobo. In 1974 was 63 kobo. In 1975 was 61 kobo. In 1976 was 62 kobo. In 1980 was 55 kobo. This was because agriculture was the mainstay. It was sustainable. Actually kept us on track. Our economy was buoyant. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with an increase in food and services, there was a consequent higher employment rate and potentially rising incomes for the population. Additionally, the standard of living was significantly high, as indicated by the high GDP. On the average, people living at that period had better access to resources, to food, to goods, and services. But the trajectory changed when we discovered what? Oil, and began to explore it. It was a blessing in disguise and has also had its negative turn. The trajectory of our economy changed to what we have it today. Presently, let's look at what agriculture is in our food production and the nature of the economy. Not long after Nigeria attained nationhood, its economy shifted from an agro-dependent economy to an oil-dependent economy. The huge and peak revenue from exportation of crude oil diverted the attention of the government and several well-meaning Nigerians from agriculture and other non-oil sectors. Many Nigerians abandoned agriculture to an apparently more promising oil economy. Agriculture that used to contribute about 75% of the nation's GDP now accounted for less. For instance, 25 years post-independence, Nigeria's exports dropped significantly to 25% from 70%. And when you are not able to produce to export, of course, your GDP will do what? Will drop. That's the index that you use to measure that. And that also will translate to what? Because when you become an importing country, it will affect your foreign exchange. And that will also automatically lead to what? It will affect the power of your currency. So when you don't have enough that you're producing, you will have to augment for your shortfalls by bringing in things. You have to spend from your reserve. So this has brought Nigeria to where we are. So Nigeria's export dropped significantly to what?
25% from 70 where it was. Nigeria became more of an importing country than an exporting country. The nation's food importation rose 50%. Despite having fertile land, food inputs in Nigeria declined, and per capita food production also decreased, leading to a more than 7-fold increase in grain importation. In 2017, the country had about 80 million poultry birds, 70 million goats, 43.4 million sheep, 18.4 million cattle, 7.5 million pigs, and 1.4 million acres. Livestock agriculture contributed 5% of the GDP and 17% of the agricultural GDP. However, in the midst of the deplorable condition of our agriculture even today, it is still a major force contributing, it's a major contributor to what? The national economy, accounting for 35% of the employment and 23%. In the 70s, it accounted for what? 70%. But it has dropped to what? To 23% of the GDP. And a potential tool to revamping our economy. I have a table, if I have projected, but you will have just given a brief version of my talk. The table shows what? The crop production in Nigeria between 1980 and 2022. If you look at the table, you will discover that between 2016 and 2022, that's about 7 years, Nigeria's production of maize increased by 92%. That's why it's large. Of course, you will rejoice. Because when you consider the needs for maize, you discover that this does not even scratch it. Because we consume maize, we use maize more for livestock feed, industrial demand, and for export. So by the time you are considering this, you discover that that's maybe huge, but not enough. And crops like yam, which we depend on as a staple food, just gradually increased the rate of 7% between 2016 and 2022. Cassava the same, 4%. That is so insignificant to meet the needs. Rice, 10%. But I also want to emphasize that Nigeria may be the highest producer of these crops. As we look at it, things like yam, cassava, but what we have produced is not enough to cater for what? The population that is increasing. By the way, the population of Nigeria is estimated at 223.8 million people and increasing at a rate of what? 1.47% per year from 1960 to date. That's quite huge. In the next 5 years, we have added what? About 27 million people to what we have. And who caters for that when it comes to food? The production is what? Is failing. So there's no reason why we won't have what? Food shortage. Quickly, I want to take us to where we are in our food security status, because that's actually what we are talking about today. Food security is what? Is a strong indices that is part of it's an agenda in the 17th Sustainable Development Goals, which was formulated in 2015 by FAO. Food security is a top agenda in those 17th Sustainable Development Goals. My Honorable Minister mentioned that. And in food security, it simply means what? It exists when all people at all times have sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. That's what it means. There are 4 major pillars that we use to measure food security. One of them is what? Is availability of food. Is food available? Of course, food is not available. That's why we're talking about shortage and want to end what? That shortage. So we have already failed in that area. The second one is accessibility. It may be available, but you find there are hiccups that does not make the food what gets to places where it should. Remember when we had the COVID-19 crisis, there were palliatives that were sent to mitigate what the effect of food crisis. What happened in several other states was so overwhelming because some of the governors got hold of this food and actually what starched them, and they were preparing to use it for their political ambitions. So you see, it's not accessible. The food was available, but was not accessible. So that's the second pillar. The third one is what? The food must be utilized. We have a problem with utilization because most of the food produced, as I continue, we discover they actually get spoiled after harvest. Some of them get spoiled while they are being conveyed from the production centers to other places where they are needed. And finally, we have stability. The food must be constantly constantly available. People must have them. It's not you're producing 100 tons today and you're producing what? 50. Of course, it's not stable. So these are the four pillars of food security. Sustainable food security is thus the enduring capacity of any nation to produce food sufficiently to sustain her citizens and effectively ensure that food is adequately distributed to all without compromises in food quality throughout her existence. Nigeria has been, someone ranked Nigeria, ranked nations globally using the food security index. And you know Nigeria came 97 out of 113 countries. And in Africa, Nigeria came 16 out of 16. Nigeria came 16. Trailing behind countries like Ghana, Cameroon, Mali, and some others. And what was the thing that made us outstanding? It was what? Our overwhelming population. So we needed to do what? We are faced with the challenge of what? Of ensuring that adequate food is available, accessible, properly utilized, and stable at all times. It is very unfortunate and sad to know that in spite of our efforts to increase food production in the country, Nigeria is considered as one of the countries gravely plagued by food insecurity. The share of the population suffering from moderate to severe food insecurity is in Nigeria increased to what? 69.7%. So more than half of the population is food insecure. That is obvious. You don't need statistics to tell you that. That's why I guess this hall is not that full. That's between 2019 and 2022. This report was moreover, in the same time frame, the prevalence of undernutrition and food insecurity in the country grew considerably. People in severe for entire days without food due to lack of money or other resources. According to Statista 2021, not less than 70% of Nigerian population is surviving on less than $1 per day, while food insecurity prevalence in low-income urban households and rural areas respectively stands at what? 79% and 71%. In a related report by Vanguard 2021, 12.1 million Nigerians situated in 20 states, including Abuja, experienced food crisis at the end of 2021. The worst hit states were Borno, Adamawa, and Enuc and Yobe. The others are Abia, Bauchi, Benue, Cross River, Edo, Enugu, Gombe, Jigawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, and some others. These are, and most of these states that I've mentioned are supposedly, some of them are supposedly known as what? The food basket of Nigeria. So what's the problem? If we have 70% of the household engaging in agriculture, yet we are not producing. Either we are not producing enough, or what we are producing somehow gets missing on the way. What is the issue? And that will bring me to what? To look at the causes of the food shortage. First in my list is what? The overwhelming population. Like I said, Nigeria is what? The most populous what? Black nation in the world. Currently, the population of Nigeria stands at 223.8 million people, increasing at an average rate of what? 1.47% annually from 1960 to present. That's quite huge. Between 2016 and 2023, the population of Nigeria has increased by 15.7%, and that is going to give us an approximately 31.7 million people. 31.7 million people added to our number since 2016 has made life miserable. In fact, this addition, 31.7%, is higher than some countries, the population of some countries in Africa. For instance, is higher than the population of Angola, Cameroon, Ghana, and Tunisia. So what we are doing by, if we are providing enough food, we are providing food that will feed the nation. In addition to what? The existing population. Like I said, in the next 5 years, Nigeria's population will increase by 27 million. That's huge too. So how do we take care of this? That calls to question you and I will need to upward. Another challenge that food security has is what? Poor system of agriculture. I did mention that 70% of households in Nigeria are farmers. Agriculture is not a game of what? Of number. Yes, it's not only a game of number, but it's a game of what? The scale. The scale on which you operate. You know, I visited some farms when I traveled out for some work, and I traveled for several miles looking at both sides of the road, well-lost what? Agricultural what? Farms. And when I tried to find out, is it owned by the government, they said no. Those farms were owned by what? Individuals. When somebody cultivates what? Thousands of what? Hectares alone. Now, you can have 100 Nigerians cultivating what? Each person cultivating 2 plots. 1 hectare. 2 hectares. 3. When you add all of them up, you would have dissipated so much energy. But just one person will produce what a whole community in or a state needs. That's the kind of agriculture. So agriculture is what? Is operating on a semi-subsistent level. And at this level, we cannot meet our food needs. Indeed, we have a lot of people who are involved in farming, but the output is not comparable to what comes out when you have what? The mechanized system of farming, which these people operate in. The semi-subsistent farming that we operate on, it requires what? Labor, manual labor like we do. There they use what? Machines, mechanized machines to do the planting, to do the harvesting, to do the fertilizer application, to do even the post-harvest processes. So you cannot compare the output to what we have. Yes, we have so many people involved. We have more farmers in Nigeria than in so many African countries, and even in the Oriental countries. But the output is nothing so much significant to reckon with. So that's a very big challenge. Expectedly, the output from what? From such large-scale production would be huge, not just to sustain the farmers' food needs, but also his other needs, like livestock needs, industrial needs. The third challenge, because those are the things that I'm going to make recommendations to in the solution. The third challenge confronting food security is what? Poor funding of agriculture. This is very huge. This is very huge. In 2003 and 2014, the heads of states of the sub-Saharan nations, including Nigeria, decided to be dedicating they decided to do what? To allocate 10% of their national budget to agriculture. That's quite small, 10%, isn't it? But it will be so amazing or surprising to know that between 2003 and 2007, that the annual budgetary allocation to agriculture sector was between 1.3% and what? 3.4%. From 10%, what the government will give is what? 1.3%. And agriculture is what? It's capital intensive. Let me bust your bubble a little more. In the year 2017, the combined expenditure of the federal and 30 state governments showed that they spent only 1.8% of their total annual budget in what? On agriculture. States like Oyo, Kwara, Borno, Abia allocated 3.6%, 3.0%, 4.64%, and 1.49% of their annual budget, respectively, to agriculture. That has fallen short of what? Of the expected 10%. 10% is supposed to be minimum, which is supposed to grow gradually. It was only Kano that had that allocated 5%, and which was the highest in that period. So if we are talking about the allocation, I have a table here that shows the allocation to the agricultural department or agricultural sector from 2019 to 2023. In 2019, it was just about 1.56%. In 2020, it was 1.34% from the national budget. In 2021, it was 1.73%. In present 2023, guess what? It was 1.03%. And if you have such kind of investment in agriculture, you should also expect that kind of output. So that's the crisis that we are in. But beyond this, some of the line items in the budget, if you study the budget, I took time to look at that of this year, you will see projects like establishment of street lights. There are so many of it. I don't know if you are aware of it. Establishment of street lights. I began to wonder, what has that got to do with agriculture? But it has a lot to do with it. If it is actually implemented in the right places. You will agree with me. Of course, the rural communities need what? They need light. If you put electricity in the rural communities, it will ginger and enhance what? The farmers, they wouldn't want to leave those rural centers. They will feel at home instead of migrating to the cities. But you know where most of these things were situated? Then it was the bubble again. You can imagine where you are putting street lights in Ikeja that is already lit. And that was the bill, the agricultural department will pay the bill. So if you ask me, I think that such funds could match as with the funds allocated to the National Research Institute to aid in the development of technologies that will aid in food production and preservation. Comparing Nigeria's national annual budgetary allocation to agriculture with that of a few other countries, we are actually paying just lip service to it. For instance, India increased their allocation to agriculture by 70% in 2023. They are one of the largest populations in the world, and they know that they need food, just as we also need food. Poor storage facility, this actually got me weeping. Poor storage facility and post-harvest losses. It's one other major reason that has plunged us into the food insecurity that we are today. If you go around, you will discover that when you visit most refugees, you will see heaps of fruits, vegetables that are wasted. Because farmers, when they produce, they bring it out, and you find you and I, perhaps who are not good at producing, you will price the farmer who has done so much work, putting logo on the table, and you tell her, how much is this? The farmer will tell you it's 50 naira or 100 naira. You say, this thing for 50 naira. You that is pricing that good anyhow, you don't know how to. You don't know what is involved. But because the farmer himself is not literate in terms of accounting, into all the costs involved in producing that food. And he or she would not want to go home because if he gets home, it will become his or her loss. So he will succumb to your price. You will buy it to be happy you made him sale. You cheated that person. If only you were the farmer, you would understand. So these farmers lose a lot. In fact, according to the Nigerian Stored Products Research Institute, Nigeria records what? 50% post-harvest losses of fruits and vegetables annually. What does that mean? Half of the production is lost because we can't really preserve them. And Action Aid, that's a private institute, gave us a data on what? On Nigeria's post-harvest loss. It's estimated to what? About $9 billion. This is equivalent to what? 3.7 trillion what? Naira. This amount is what? Is approximately a quarter of what? Of the national budget. That is what is lost. Can you imagine what this figure could do if it's plowed back into the system? So it's not that we're not producing. Yes, we're not producing enough. But the much we are producing is lost because there is no what? Investment to ensure that these losses are not what? Are recouped. The next item or factor that accounts for food insecurity is what? High level of what? Of insecurity. Of course, you can attest to that because Nigeria is one of what? The unsafe places in the world today due to the regular cases of what? Insecurity across our 6 geopolitical zones. The spate and incessant kidnapping of farmers, killing and maiming of farmers, and attacks on agrarian communities by armed herdsmen and militia groups across the country has struck fears on farmers in rural production centers. In fact, violence, kidnapping, and killing is considered a norm in our society. These have made farmers to abandon their farms for their lives. According to Statistics 2023, 67,368 people have been killed by the Boko Haram terrorists in 7 northeastern states between 2016 and 2023. The affected states were all agrarian communities in states considered as the food basket of Nigeria. And this has also led to the depletion of what? The land resource that is deployed into crop production. The data shows that about 70,000 hectares that they use for farming has been reduced to what? 7,000. Who would want to invest? And you find people coming to ravage and destroy. In fact, most farmers have been rendered landless. So many of them are hiding in what? The IDP camps. That's where they are all. And if there's no one producing, that's why a basket of tomatoes has risen. Earlier this year, my wife bought a basket for 6,000. Of course, we are the ones that receive them first. We are coming from the north. We have a map very close where they drop them. But I want to tell you that as it stands now, the basket of tomato is running to 30,000 to 40,000. Still counting because we are entering the season. Rice is presently at the cost of what? A bag of rice is the local or the foreign, but it's not less than what? 40 the local, 50 50,000 to foreign rice. Why? Because there is no food, it's short. So the one that the federal government spends money to bring in, of course there's a buying effect now, you can bring in rice. So the one that comes in at a cost to make up for what we don't have, that we cannot produce. Unfortunately, when oil came, we chose the easy path. Of course, oil brings in money. So why would I go and work in the farm? The business is considered to be what? Dirty. So people decided to go for money instead of what money can do or can buy. I think it's high time we correct that mentality. We are crazy for money instead of what money can buy. There's going to come a time when we'll have so much money, but there won't be what money can buy because we've lost our priorities. Now, gradually, I want to look at the solutions. And I'll round up at that point. First, Nigeria is a nation with great potential and resources. We have faced a persistent challenge in recent years, an alarming food shortage that has the potential to destabilize our nation and bring about untold hardship. Today, I stand before you not with doom and despair, but with a message of hope and a roadmap to transformation. A transformation that can turn the looming crisis before us into a thriving opportunity. Our food crisis can be resolved if intentional and conscious effort is made towards resolving it. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to say that the solution to this crisis lies in 3 words. One is what? Intentional. The second one is what? Continuous. And the third one is what? Investment. When we put them together, it simply means that the solution is what? Through what? Intentional and continuous investment in agriculture. That's the key to solving our food insecurity problems. First and foremost, we need to be more intentional in investing in our farmers who are at the production centers of the agricultural industry. Farmers must be provided with what? Requisite tools, technological knowledge and resources needed to engage meaningfully in agriculture in order to increase crop production and livestock yield. This means access to modern farming techniques, quality and improved seeds, fertilizer, and deployment of modern irrigation systems in crop production. I want to tell you that people who are actually advancing into retirement are actually coming into what? Agriculture. Because it's sustainable. When the stocks will crash, of course they crash. But agriculture is sustainable. So people are investing in it. It's now to be able to make your meaningful investment and monitor it. So we need to invest in farmers. Secondly, government should what? Should initiate policies to regulate and monitor the rate of growth of the population. In fact, the government should invest in education on family planning at all levels to curb the state of population explosion. This can be achieved through regular awareness and education. Additionally, there should be a periodic national census. This will give us accurate information of how far we've grown and the things we need in order to meet our needs. Equally vital is the role of the private sector. We must create a conducive environment for investment in agriculture. This includes policies that encourage agribusiness, reduce barriers to entry, and promote innovation. By fostering public-private partnership, we can unlock the immense potentials of our agricultural sector. Additionally, the government must invest adequately in sustainable security systems to guarantee the safety the safety of investors and their investment. Government's commitment is crucial as well. It is incumbent upon leaders to prioritize agriculture as a national imperative Adequate funding of the National Research Institute and infrastructural development are essential components of this commitment. When the public and private sectors join hands, the possibilities are boundless. In the area of funding, I want to recommend that the government should match up with what? The 10% agreed proportion which is supposed to go to the Ministry of Agriculture. By providing requisite machines, this will go a long way in infrastructural development and getting things like silos and processing assemblies in place. By doing this, Nigeria will be making the right investments. To mitigate the challenges of huge post-harvest losses encountered annually by farmers, which has significantly depleted our national food reserve and promoted food shortage, the government and private organizations like Dangote Food partner with governments. Tony Enuc, I saw him speaking, he was in Saudi Arabia, going to mobilize for funds, massive funding of most companies, investments in Nigeria. People like Mike Adeluga, people like Otedola, they could assist. And while other many Nigerians should invest massively in food processing assemblies to process and convert most food products like cassava, yam to flour, fruit crops like orange to melon to what? Paste and juice. Additionally, the government should fund adequately research institutes like NS, that is INSPRE, to intensify in what? In developing what? Agri-product processing technology, so that we can preserve our food products to have longer shelf life. The government should intentionally pursue the implementation of the policies formulated to improve food production through agriculture. Policies such as the Anchor Follower Scheme, the Agricultural Bench, and the removal of import duties on agricultural equipment should be strictly monitored to ensure that it benefits the intended beneficiary. By this, the immediate beneficiaries, that the farmers, will leverage on these facilities to improve their production. Similarly, government must invest in the construction and regular maintenance of feeder roads leading to food production centers to eliminate bottlenecks in food distribution. Meanwhile, investment is not about financial resource alone. It is also about investing in our people. We must educate and empower and build capacity in our youth to see agriculture as a viable option. Such empowerment can come as scholarships to students willing to pursue a career in agriculture, and also providing support to establish such individuals in agriculture. I want to give kudos to Babcock University, where I come from. At least there's a rebate for any student who is coming to study agriculture. About 50% rebate. That's good. Another, Joseph Ayo Babalola University is also doing the same, 100% to anyone who wants to study agriculture. It's free. You come here and study free. But you need to do what? When you are out, they will also do what? Find a way to empower you so that you will practice. Most of my students who have graduated now have their farms, and they have employed a lot of people. So that tells you that it's quite lucrative. Ladies and gentlemen, the path from doom to boom is not without its challenges, but the rewards are immeasurable. Imagine in Nigeria, where our farmers are prosperous, our children well-nourished, and our nation self-reliant in food production, and capable of what? Exporting our excesses to the needy nations. Finally, and most importantly, this is where the biblical principle comes in. Finally, and most importantly, Nigeria needs what? Men and women of integrity and honesty to manage the national resources, including the agricultural sector. We need God-fearing men and women, men like Joseph in Egypt, who managed the agricultural boom of ancient Egypt from doom to national economic prosperity. We need not just competent men and women, but committed and God-fearing men and women who are selfless and are willing to stand for and by the right, even though the heavens fall. The problem we have in Nigeria is spiritual. When we don't have God in our lives, no matter how competent we are, we don't have any moral standard to guide our company. That's why I say we need such things. In conclusion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I implore